Hello everybody and welcome to my channel. If you are new here, let me introduce myself. My name is Jules. My pronouns are he, him. I'm a commercial food photographer, stylist, author, and a lifelong planner. Today we are going to talk about Tombow brush pens and tools to help you be able to select complementary colors for those of you who are not well versed in color theory. So let me tell you about why I'm doing this. Recently, I purchased the complete Tombow brush pen set. It just turned out to be more economically feasible for the colors that I needed for 2024. Instead of buying individual packages, it worked out that buying the complete color set was the most feasible. Then, as I got them, it's like I want to be able to pick complementary colors. I understand color theory. I'm an artist. I work professionally in artistic pursuits. As a photographer and stylist, you need to know color theory, especially for food photography. And the problem, though, is Tombow has colors that I'm not quite familiar with. And when you look at it like this, it's like option paralysis. What colors? Oh, you have to excuse my dogs if you hear them. You have to figure out what colors you want to use when you have this whole entire option that's also not sorted according to a rainbow. As Tombow adds new colors, it just makes things complicated. So I decided to search for the Tombow brush pen color wheel and found some really good tools to help me choose colors and know without having to think too much what colors are going to look good together for when I need to do things according to specific color themes. Some of these tools are free and some of them are paid. So the first one I'm going to talk about is a free tool, and this is from Tombow. And there's for the 108, not for the old set, which I think is 96. It's for this new updated set. And it is all the colors according to their color classification, and not necessarily color classification as you would see it in a color wheel, but it still will help you be able to pick complementary colors. As an example, yellow and purple are opposite each other on the color wheel, so you want to do, or gold and so you would, if you want to do complementary colors, you could be that easy. Orange and blue, but they don't have orange, right? They have like a yellow-red, which is orange. So you would go to these two. Doing the tri, which is like the triangle, or the quad, which is a rectangle or a square. That's a little bit more advanced color theory. That can be a little bit more difficult, but at least it has different color groups sorted from pale to dark. And so if you say you wanted like a pale yellow and a pale purple, you would be able to at least somewhat easily be able to pick two colors or three colors that complement each other by looking at it at a glance. It's just, I find it a really easy tool if I want to pick two colors, no fuss, then this is something you can go to and it's free. Another tool that I found, again, is from Tombow, and it is their color wheel. And as you will see, well, you can't see if you were to download this, and there are links for both of these resources are down in the description. You will see that the color wheel is not in order. So example, light orange is 0 to 5, but then the yellow, like 0 to 0, is, or which one is that? This is like 09, and it's this one. What number is this? 090. Yes. Like they're not in order. But what you can do, again, is I meant to grab a straight edge. Hold on. What you can do, say you have a straight edge, and again, you want to pick complementary colors. You would just grab your straight edge, and you would go directly across. So you can see that 673 and 991, those colors would go good together. If you wanted to do a triangle, you can kind of do something also similar, where you just kind of eyeball your triangle. So you got the crimson red and a dark plum and a jade green or a dark green. Those would kind of go together. And then a rectangle is kind of the same thing too. So I have like a carnation with whatever yellow this is, with an orchid and a mint. Like those four colors would go good together. So it's basically how you would use a color wheel that doesn't have the fancy sliders on it. And this is free, and it's just a really, like, here's the brown and the true blue. Those would go good together. Or even, yeah, it would be true blue and brown. So it's just a really easy way to pick complementary colors. Say you really wanted to use lilac one month, then you would know the chrome orange would be the color to pick as a highlight. So again, this is free. It will help you use your Tombow brush pens and be able to pick complementary colors. Now the next tool that I have, that I found, that made me most excited because I wanted like a color wheel that had a color selector. This is a paid resource, but it is inexpensive. It is the Tritone Worksheet Dual Brush Pens. It's created by Jennifer and Steve Stay for Coloring Bliss, and I just stumbled upon this by accident with search. So it has color wheels, swatch charts, swatch strips, and color schemes. And you get this with, they have like a, kind of like Patreon, but it's based off of on their own site. And for $5 USD a month, you get downloads of this and a whole bunch of other coloring tools, coloring worksheets, coloring books, all sorts of fun things for you to use. Or you could buy an actual physical book of this. It comes in a coil binder. It's on watercolor, like card paper. It is really well done. The reason why I didn't buy the physical book was because shipping to Canada was like 3 times the cost as the book itself. So I decided for $5 a month, yes, I am going to download this. And then I printed it off on vellum, and I'll explain why in a moment. And then I assembled it. But it's not all vellum. So the first sheet goes vellum, piece of regular white paper, and then the title page, another piece of white paper, and then I have all the color wheels and the swatch charts colored in on vellum. Originally, I thought I was going to do a piece of vellum and then white paper and just do that over and over again. But as I got to this page, I realized that the colors look much different against a piece of white paper than it does when it is against, I'm trying to find a graph page. This is my biz Jabun Techo biz that I live and die on. But it looks much different than when it is against a piece of the Jabun Techo Mio paper. Again, because the color of the paper, like this is not a stark white like this is. This is a slightly off white. The color of the paper has an effect on what the Tombow brush pen will look like when it is like actually brushed on the paper. And that's why often you will do color swatches on the paper. And there's no way that I was going to swatch 109. Is that what it is now? 108. There's no way I was going to swatch 108. I did that once before with a 120 brush pen set, and it was not my favorite thing to do. And I just found it tedious to do it that way. So I decided this is the way I'm going to go. Also, like if I was, do I have my jaboons are too, or not my jaboon, my Hobonichi is too far away to grab right now. But it's the same thing. I just lay this on top of the piece of paper so I can have a better idea of what the true color will be once it's colored. And so I have this white piece of paper, so at least I can look at it and see, have somewhat of idea before I move over and test it out in my Jabun Techo Biz or Days. So it comes blank and you color it in. And so it has the dual brush pens. They have also a really awesome video about them setting theirs up, and I will link that in the description as well. So they have the whole, the primary color scheme as one set. And then they have a swatch chart. So it is the pale version of all of those, the true, and then the darker. And so, again, it's just swatches for all of these colors, tri-tone set. And then it has mini wheels. And so it has the light tones, the medium tones, and the dark tones. So if you wanted to just do a 3 selection of the light tones, so you'd go yellow green and the red orange and this violet. Like these would be a good tri-set, or you can do the rectangles or whatever with those 3. And then they have the strip that you would put with your Tombow brush pens. I didn't bother coloring in the strip. And then this is where my fun comes in. For every, they have different color schemes already chosen for you. Oh, my light came off there. That's why the change in light. So, yellow. So they have the pale on the side, the monochrome, pale, the regular, and then the dark. And then they have the complementary analogous 1, 2, 3, split complementary 1, 2, 3, tridactic, square tridactic, and then the rectangle, or tetradactic, sorry. Tetradactic twice. So square, so they have all of those things, so you're not having to take your straight edge on your color wheel and kind of creating those things itself. They have done all of those color wheel selections that you would turn with a dial for you. And this is a fun coloring project. I enjoyed this. So it has for all of the color groups: yellow, green, blue, green, blue. Again, I'm not gonna put the page underneath of it all. Blue, violet. Actually, I'm gonna do blue because my theme color, or my January colors, are going to be blue, and I don't know if I want to do blue green. Oh, I didn't color that in. That's funny. I have to color it in here. If I do, it's going to be analogous with the complementary color for January, or if I want to go actual blue. And if I do go actual blue, it's probably going to be analogous to with a complementary color for my January colors. Just so I have one color to highlight. So blue, violet, red, violet, red, orange, and then yellow, orange. And then it's got all this combobulated in here. I printed these off I have a laser jet printer, or a laser toner. Yeah, so a laser printer. I don't know how well this would work with inkjet. So just as a word of caution, that I do have a laser printer, and it's like an industrial studio quality laser printer. And then at the very end, they allow you to swatch everything, and it's in the order of the numerical order, and it has an outline for the tritone legend as well. So light tones, mediums, and darks. And then ones that have a dotted outline mean they don't belong to any specific analogous color wheel selection that they've chosen. An interesting word of note is that their color schemes for the complementary colors are slightly different than what Tombow would have you use. Their color wheel slightly different than Tombow's color wheel, but it is close enough where it works. And then before I end, so $5. Before I end, let's talk organizing your Tombow brush pens. At first, I thought I was going to organize it according to the color wheel, because I like seeing things in order of a color wheel. But then I thought, well, how am I going to find things? Like, it'll take me that much longer to find a pen where I'm like, well, this should be the first number, but it's not. This would be like, we're starting with 025 instead of 020. And that's just too much chaos for me. So in the end, I decided to do them in numerical order. It's easier to pick things. The grays are in numerical order as well. And so that's how, in the end, I decided to organize my Tombow brush pens. There's also this color wheel available in a blank in case you want to color in your own color wheel as you accumulate all of your pens. I will link that below just in case you want that. And this dual brush pen swatching according to color groups is also available in blank. I will link that below as well. And the swatch charts and stuff are easy enough to find, so I'm just going to link these resources in the description below, as well as the Coloring Bliss website and their setup video for this, and there'll also be links for my Tombow brush pen. So yeah, this is just a neat resource that I thought you all would would want to know about, especially if you struggle with color theory. Is there another video you would like me to make? What do you want me to talk about? Let me know in the comments below. Like this video if you at all found it useful. Subscribe to my channel and hit that notification bell so that you know when new videos go up, and join me every single Saturday at 1 p.m. Pacific, 9 p.m. British time for a live plan with me where we sit and we talk for an hour and a half, and we plan, or we journal, or we do art, or we just like whatever, and talk about our week that was and our week that's coming up, and have a good time. I hope you all have a safe and a wonderful week. Until next time, bye.